It's still hard to believe that Alan Wake 2 finally released, and now Remedy has the first of 2 DLC expansions available now. Called Night Springs, I completed all the achievements and beat all the episodes on Nightmare difficulty, so let's discuss if the expansion is worth it. The expansion is divided into 3 episodes starring Alan Wake's #1 fan Rose Marigold, Jesse Faden from Control before the events of Control, and Tim Breaker from the main campaign. Each character has a unique tale linked to Remedy's growing multiverse. Despite playing through the campaign multiple times, I'm still having difficulty placing them within the world of Alan Wake. Rose is a bit easy as it shows her devotion to Alan and trying to be his new muse, being manipulated by the dark presence. Jessie attempts to find her brother before Control and shows her first experience with the dark presence, and various Tim Breakers are jumping between dimensions as they try to make sense of what's going on in their own world. Remedy does love their reality-bending narratives, and here it's no different. You feel like you're part of an episode of Night Springs, which is the intention with the DLC, with Mr. Door narrating the opening before exploring the rest of the episode. I don't know if this is canon or not, or just contained universe. Regardless, they're meant to be played as single experiences, not meant to be these whole eventful adventures. Much of the DLC plays like the core campaign, with each of the main characters separated by episodes. Rose is a more action-focused campaign, with the diner owner attempting to save Alan from his evil twin brother, the Bad Boy. It's written like a really bad romance novel, as Rose uses her shotgun and hunting rifle to kill the haters, defeat the Bad Boy, and eventually become Alan's new muse. Jessie is more about expanding her personal story. Now at Coffee World, Jessie's attempting to find her brother, and is not only exposed to the dark presence, but the first signs of the Hiss. This is before she gets all her powers and abilities. It's more straightforward and focuses on a combination of key item hunting and light combat. It's the weakest of the narratives, and for those who didn't play Control, you'll understand very little about this episode. Heck, they even don't call her Jessie, they just call her the sibling. The final episode is the best, as it highlights Remedy Entertainment's experimentation with gameplay elements that made Alan Wake 2 such a joy. Here, an alternative version of Tim Breaker is being hunted by Mr. Door, and we see many versions of Tim attempting to survive the assault, with this version being an actor instead of the sheriff from the core campaign. Not only is there a traditional third-person combat system and a short reality-bending puzzle like in the core Alan Wake 2 campaign, but a retro gaming level and a text adventure. Each episode plays fine, but can feel incredibly short. My first playthrough of each episode took around an hour, and then 30 minutes when I replayed them on Nightmare difficulty. There's very little optional content and no unlockables for beating the episodes on Nightmare difficulty outside from personal challenges. Overall, unless you're a die-hard Alan Wake 2 fan, the DLC is lacking in substance and longevity. In fact, the game wants you to bullet through each episode, giving the player ample ammo and healing items, completely changing Alan Wake 2 from a survival horror experience to a traditional action horror game like in the first Alan Wake. Overall, I can see a lot of players feeling like they were shortchanged in this DLC experience, especially considering that you're playing 3 very profound characters that players really wanted to see more of. Seeing Rose and how she interprets the reality in which the dark presence is shifting for her, Jesse Faden's past before the events of Control, and even Tim Breaker's entire experience would have been ideal candidates for grand adventures, but seeing that they're so short, they just don't leave the mark that they should have. Night Springs is a moderate expansion for Alan Wake 2, offering 3 episodes with fun content, but they're really short. The episodes, like I said, are enjoyable, but the short length and limited optional activities make it appealing primarily to dedicated fans of the core game. If you didn't find yourself head over heels in love with Alan Wake 2 or their cinematic universe, you'll find this content severely lacking, especially considering that they're so short and lack impact, considering how profound these characters have been to the overall universe of Alan Wake. It just seems very disappointing that we finally get to see the world from Rose's perspective, only for it to end so short. See how Jessie was conducting her investigation to find Dylan before the events of Control, only for it to just suddenly end, and finally getting this huge groundbreaking revelation that Tim Breaker has multiple versions of himself diving through the multiverse, but then again it just cuts itself short. Perhaps the next expansion will build on this, but in the current state that it's in, unless you're the most die-hard Alan Wake fan, this will fall short of your expectations.